Welcome back to another episode of Kicking It with Coach Red, where we bring you all the news, stories, takes, and opinions about your favorite teams from the Pacific North, fresh from the good to the bad to the Mariners.
Sweet hot Mariners, baby.
Foreshadowing, because you guys have already seen the title of this episode, but the title of this episode is Kicking It with the Mariners, who currently don't suck. So,
Yes, sir.
still not playing the best baseball in the world. You're hoping for them to get a little bit more rounded. It looked a little bit better over the weekend. But we're still early in the season. You're still seeing things flushed out. For the most part, pitching staff did its work this week. So we're going to go ahead and break some stuff down for you. But before we do, why don't I tell you a little bit about us? If you're looking for a guy that was like Cal Raleigh over the weekend, he was him. And if he is him and him is me, might as well call me Hemi Neutron because it's me, your boy, Coach Red. You can find me on X at the real Coach Red, on Instagram at the real underscore Coach Red, TikTok at the real Coach Red. Also, find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, subscribe again because you probably didn't do it the first time. Hit the bell notifications and leave a comment or two while you're there. And if you're looking for a guy that is like a ballerina, kind of like Jorge Polanco was in yesterday's game, just coming down the first baseline and putting little Jake Berger in a spin cycle. He's ready to twirl his way into your hearts in this episode, and that's Cain.
That was awesome, by the way. Yeah, I'm Kane. You can find me over on Twitter, Kane2406, TikTok, and Twitch, Kane0624. Also follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. Pause. Do it, freaking do it.
Big series in division games you got to win against
Yep.
teams that are traditionally at the top with the Mariners and the Astros and the Rangers. And the Mariners come out 5-1 on the week, 2-1 versus the Astros, in a sweep of the Rangers. And the Mariners had the opportunity in the Astros series to sweep and also were not too far from getting swept themselves.
Yeah.
The only loss was an extra innings, one where the Mariners had a plethora of chances. I believe they were 1 for 19 with
Yes.
runners in scoring position in that game and had 19 strikeouts. Not their best offensive performance, lost 2-1, but
Wasn't
they
the
did enough.
Framber,
You
wasn't that the
had,
Framber game?
yep,
Yeah.
the game before that, you had Logan pitches gem, and then you have Jorge Polanco with some late game heroics. Ryan Bliss, before getting injured, goes ahead and hits a 2-run tater
Oh,
in
yeah.
that
Pimped
game.
it.
Yep. And then Wednesday was all about chaos ball and a little bit of Randy. You didn't have much going on throughout the game. Mariners
What
come
a
storming back late,
dumb game.
and Randy was that guy with the bases loaded. Too scary.
Yeah, 5 RBI day for him with the walk-off walk. So exciting.
Hey, I'll take a win. I don't care how they
And
come
and you know
across.
what? Like the Astros series was just chaotic. That's
Mm-hmm.
all it was. It was a mess. It was on the edge of your seat every inning. I'm really glad. I mean, I'm glad they had an off day, but I'm also kind of glad, like, sad that they had an off day because I just want to watch baseball. Just like tonight, there's no baseball. But I think it was a good little break off of a good series win,
And the
ready to go into
Astros
the
weren't
weekend.
playing particularly well either. They're actually hitting worse than the Mariners, which is
Yeah.
tough to believe. But you come out of that ahead and you go up against the Rangers, who top of the division right there and coming in also a team that's been struggling to hit the ball, but they're hitting well with runners in scoring position and in those clutch moments. Luckily, the Mariners staff, even though the starters in the first inning of each game were 25 plus pitches, you get
Really reeled it in. It
yeah,
really reeled it in.
you got 5 innings from Bryce, you got 7 from Woo, you got just over 5 or just 5 from Logan.
Yeah.
Five straight up 5 from
Yeah.
Logan. But they were effective when they were in there. And the bullpen, holy moly, did the bullpen show up this week? The
Like
bullpen was
everybody
phenomenal.
except for Trent Thornton when he gave up a home run. That was the only unfortunate bit.
I mean, the bullpen's starting to come together. Reinforcements are on the way. Losing more guys to injury. We'll touch on all of that stuff. But if you want to break down the sweep, Bryce Miller keeps him in the game long
Yeah.
enough.
I mean, after the blow up inning he had, he kind of reeled it back in.
Well,
And
the blow up inning was nothing.
right, exactly.
He didn't
Like,
give up a run. It was scary, but then you had Polanco with a home run. Rowdy Tellez clocks in with his first of the season.
yeah.
And then Cal hits a 2 run that is the eventual game winner. You go the next day, it's Run Palooza. 9 runs. I was losing my GD mind. Didn't know what to
Oh.
do. And only one of those runs came via the home run.
Yeah. Shout out Cal Raleigh.
Yeah, and
Shout
then
out
Cal Raleigh
Torpedo
hits another
Bats.
one on Sunday.
Yeah, the Torpedo Bat just works in his hands, man. Oh man, it's so fun watching him like hit the ball. JP's hitting the ball. He was hitting the ball over the weekend. That was fun to see.
Hitting the ball, still taking his walks, still running a high on base percentage, but the week itself wasn't all good.
No,
Ryan Bliss is out for
till September
a while,
practically.
torn bicep, and
And the greatest part about this is he tore it in the
early.
first at bat, roped a double the next play or the next time up, and then also made a game saving play at second in
Oh, they didn't save the game
extras.
because they still lost it, but it
Right.
extended the game.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean it's tough because although the batting average wasn't necessarily there the day before he had hit a home run, you thought that he was starting to come into the power a little bit. He was all over the field at second base,
Mhm.
ranging and making plays. And it makes the Mariners change on how they're going to attack things, right? And you saw kind of what they were going to do. They faced a lot of righties from the Rangers, and you saw a lot of Tellez. You saw Jorge Polanco still in that lineup. You saw Miles Mastroboni. You saw Leo Rivas get some more run. Rivas did some okay things. Mastroboni's just been getting on base,
Yep.
roping singles. That's all he's doing. That's all
Hey,
he's
I'll
doing.
take it.
He's
It's
getting on
effective.
base. And you're starting to see as that series went along, I'll talk about some stats on the guys that were most impactful. And when I break this down, the batting averages aren't necessarily good, but they were good at the right time. And that's what the
Yep.
Mariners were doing is they still aren't going to be that team that can go out and beat everyone in the world because they don't hit the ball well enough. But the Mariners over the course of this homestand averaged just over 5 runs a game, inflated by a couple of decent sized games. And in doing so, come out 5-1.
Yep.
So if the Mariners can stay on that clip, you're going to see some progression. You're going to see some regression. We've already seen some regression with some of the guys, and you're starting to see some of those guys come out of their shell a little bit and get back to their career norms. You've got an intriguing call up in Ben Williamson getting the call up to the big leagues. I think he's going to get his first start tomorrow because there's lefty on the bump. So
Team
it'll
I've
be
heard a
interesting
lot.
to see him get some play time. But although when I get to these, I just said it. Cal Raleigh had a big week. Randy Rosarena had a big week. Julio Rodriguez had a big week. They're all right around 200 on the batting average.
Yeah.
It's not what you like to see, but if
But
you're ready, I'm ready to
it's
hop into some stats.
it's statistically the best start of Julio we've ever seen. Statistically wise.
Statistically, you're right. Let's talk about stats.
Sure.
All right. Start with the higher impact, and then we'll get to the bigger stat lines. Cal Raleigh, we talked about it, had a big week. 217 average, 5 hits. 3 of those hits were home runs, 5 RBIs, and also scored 5 runs.
Believe his on base per or streak is still going. It's not anymore. No. Okay.
Next guy,
It was impressive though for the stretch that he had it.
23 games. Next guy, Randy Rosarena, 211 average, 4 hits, 1 home run, one that home run being a grand slam, 6 RBIs, and 3 stolen bases on the week. Julio,
That's a wild stat to hear. To be honest, three stolen bases out of Polo.
that was Randy
Oh,
Rosarena.
Randy. Oh, sorry. I had Polo on the brain.
Lockdown, get it
Sorry.
together. Julio
Sorry.
Rodriguez batted 200 on the week, double, a triple, 3 RBIs, and 5 runs scored. He big base hit against the
Astros. Ninth
Astros,
inning.
and he was really squaring the ball up over the weekend too. A couple of them didn't find homes, found their
Yep.
way into some gloves, but
He also got on base quite a bit.
up the middle, opposite. I mean, you could tell that he didn't have his best series against the Astros. It did not look good, particularly against the Astros. Picked it up. That's why he's sitting at the 200 average. But you're starting to see that come around. Now we could talk about Polanco. Polanco batted 294 with 1 home run and 4 RBIs
Nice.
and the
He's
spin
so good.
cycle.
Been so good.
And then the top average guy of the week. I also classified this with guys that had more than 10 at bats because Mitch Garver found his way to the top spot, but he only had 6 at bats. So I excluded him from the top performers of the week. And that top performer in average is Miles Mastroboni with a 333 average, which is 5 for 15 with 5 singles, but he did have 1 stolen base and 3 runs scored.
Yeah. That's just kind of been the big thing for him is just let's bring it back to the ninth inning. Wednesday against the Astros, right? He ropes a single off a high fastball from Brian Abreu up the middle, gets a single, finds a way to pretty much score in the night. Like, put himself in a position, and he was on base during the Randy Grand Slam. So the dude has just been getting on base, and it's something you like to see, especially in this just get on base and let the hitters work kind of praise that they've been putting out there. So it is nice to see that it's somewhat coming around, and it was a very promising week against in division opponents, especially from the random guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Telez had a couple of hits, big homer on Friday, an almost triple on Saturday. Luke Rayleigh went yard and had another big time double, but that was
Ball was
really
just
it for
flying
the
off his
week.
bat too.
And it's tough because, like we're saying, I mean, Demo put a couple of charges in balls.
Mm-hmm.
JP had a better week, but he was still under 200 or right at 200 for the week. But he's still getting he's leading the American League in walks, and his OBP is almost 400.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll take that out of my 9 hitter, right? But the real telltale of this entire week was the pitching staff,
Yes.
and I'm gonna start with the relievers because I'm gonna leave out Luis F. Castillo, the Pebble. Um, but every one of the starters made it onto my top performers of the weeks. So I'm going to start
Yep.
with the relievers. Spoiler alert: all of them have a 0 ERA on the week. First one is Gabe Spire. 3 appearances, 3 innings pitched. Gave up 1 hit, had 2 Ks, 0 ERA.
Dude, he has been electric.
Speaking of
Electric to watch.
another guy that's really done himself some favors, it's Carlos Vargas.
Yeah.
3 appearances, 3 innings pitched, 1 hit, 2 Ks, 0 ERA.
I love it, dude. And I mean, his stuff is just finally playing, it seems like. It is a little sporadic from
And
time to time,
then,
but the pitch count has been coming down.
yeah, and then you get into the Bombero, El Bombero, La Gran Verga himself, Andres Munoz. Four
Yeah.
appearances, 4 innings pitched, gave up 3 hits, struck out 5, 0 ERA, 3 saves on the week.
Yeah. Mooney made it interesting, I believe,
He did.
one night.
He did.
The
But
other nights he just was business.
the one night that he made it interesting was the non-save situation to go into extra innings. Got Harry there. That's the one where Ryan Bliss makes the phenomenal
No, true.
backward diving leap to keep a runner at third to keep it tied going to the bottom of the ninth or going into the 10th. So
Yep,
um,
you're right.
great job across the board there. But starters were where it's at. Talk about the two that still pretty darn good, but not as good as the other two. First one is going to be Luis Castillo. Went 5 innings, gave up 5 hits, 6 Ks, 0 ERAs. Did not give up a run on the day against the Astros.
It's what you. It's just what you want from him out
Bryce
of a
Miller,
start.
5 innings pitched, 2 hits given up, 1 earned run, 5 Ks, 1.8 ERA.
Eh,
Brian Wu, 1 start, 1 win, 7 innings pitched, gave up an earned run, struck out 7, walked 1.129 ERA.
I mean, I just keep going. We'll discuss.
Then Walter, 2 starts, 1 win, 10 and 2/3 innings pitched, gave up 2 earned runs, 14 Ks, 3 walks, 1.69 ERA.
Yeah, dude. Let's talk about Brian Wu for a second. Like, is he the next him? Because like the blow up inning, sure, but the way he dialed it in afterwards didn't go above 15 pitches in an inning and went seven and just absolutely decimated Texas. Like, that was so fun to watch, especially Dan just leaving him out there, giving him the faith, right?
Oh,
And letting him go deep into a division game like that, up like we were. And I get it. The bullpen has been decimated and they have been worked.
and they've been worked, but like I said, it was a good week for. I mean, the
Yeah.
one game that you lost 2-1 in 12 innings.
Yeah.
Bullpen did their job this week, comparative to weeks past. The offense did just enough, and the
Mm-hmm.
bullpen kept it intact. And you're going to look to see these innings pitched by the starters kind of tick up. You need to get at least 6, hopefully getting more into the 7th, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once you see more of that, it's going to even be better on the bullpen. You've got Troy Taylor coming back this week as well. Matt
Sir.
Brash isn't too far behind. So they're going to be in a spot to be even better as we go along.
Mm-hmm. That is true. And I want to. Somebody brought this up, and I researched. I did a little search. Somebody said that Logan Evans is going to be called up, and I don't know
He
how
could. The
much.
timing of the starts line up pretty well.
Okay,
I
okay,
could see them going back to Emerson potentially,
that has been the rumor mill as well.
I think that with how starts lined up, that Logan Evans could be the spot start guy, and if he does well enough, maybe ride him out until George gets back.
That'd be fun, huh? We're pretty high on Logan Evans.
Yeah. So let's talk about last week's picks to click. We'll start with the hitters. I picked Brandy Rosarena. Kane had picked Cal. Similar in averages, similar in hits, not
Stud.
similar in homers, similar in RBIs, but for the impact that ended up changing games, we're going to go ahead and give it to Cal Raleigh on this one. Randy Rosarena going grand slam, walk-off walk, and then later in the week getting a hit by a pitch with the bases loaded. Those are 6
Yeah.
ribbies in the week. Dude's doing some damage by via walk and via the long ball with the bases loaded this week. But Cal
Came
Cal
alive.
on Friday hits the eventual game winner, even though it's not in game winning fashion. He gets you on the board early on Sunday. He helps extend the lead on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Better, I thought it was a lot better day or week behind the dish for him. He's playing every day. I think that you got to give it to Cal, especially with a 3 home run weekend.
Yeah,
Recency bias a little bit on this one.
yeah, yeah. I love Cal, man. Uh,
So Cain gets the win on that. When it comes to
Uh,
the pitchers, Cain had picked Bryce Miller, who 1.8 ERA. That's pretty good, but it's not a 1.69 with 2 starts and 14 Ks that Logan Gilbert clocked
or
in,
three
which was my honorable
saves.
mention. But the guy who I originally picked, Andres Munoz, who I said would go out and deal against the in division opponents. He had 4 appearances, didn't give up a run, and had 3 saves, exactly like I told you would a week ago today. So guess what? I will win that one. And since I'm through the honorable mention, that breaks the tie for the week. So I'm the winner of picks to click for week 1 of the season. But we will now dive into week 2. Kane, who is your pitcher pick to click for the week?
Uh, Give me Brian Wu this week. He had the one mistake pitch in San Francisco, and then he dealt again. He dealt against Texas. I believe he's at the end of Cincy. Is he on Thursday?
No, he's going to be throwing against the Blue Jays.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. Give me Brian Wu this week. I just think he's gonna bring it to the Rogers Center, and I'll tell you another reason in just a moment. Coach Red, who's your pitcher this week?
I'm going to play the odds and go with the pitcher that has 2 starts, and that's going to be Luis Castillo. But I'm going to take it a step further. If you're going to talk about a guy who knows how to pitch at the Red
Yeah.
Stadium, it's Luis Castillo.
Yeah.
I believe this is our first time going there since the trade where he's actually going to pitch. So I anticipate him wanting to go out and shove. And then you follow that up
Okay.
against a team that he absolutely owns in the Blue Jays. So
Yes.
you give me 2 opportunities. I'm going to take that most of the time
Perfect
with
one.
any starter, but you throw in those extra caveats. And Luis Castillo's just been he's been the rock of the rotation. I hate to just sit there and play on a pun, but he has been la piedra de la rotación. That might not be real Spanish. I would guess.
Oh, I like it. That's a good. I think those are great picks for
All
the
right,
week.
who are? Oh, I also threw in. I think Gabe Spires just gonna keep rolling, baby. I
Yeah,
mean, I don't know if he's gonna give up an earned run in the month of April.
I also think that Vargas is going to keep rolling. They're going to keep throwing him out there in good leverage situations, and he's been exceptionally well. So honorable mention, Carlos Vargas this week for me.
All right, for the hitters, who you got?
Give me Cal.
Doubling down, back to back weeks.
Doubling down. And my reasoning is they're going to a hitter's park, right? He's been seeing the ball very well. Pre-bat's been working well. I guess we'll see. I'm certain we're going to see Hunter Green. So you're going to see a lot of fastballs. You'll probably see Nick Lodolo. I don't know the third pitcher. Chase Burns is up. That's right. Might see him too.
You know, there's an easy way to figure that out. It's
Yeah, and
called doing your research.
I didn't look. So, and I don't think you looked either. But my big thing is they're going to Toronto. And no matter what happens, whenever they play the Blue Jays, Cal Raleigh decides it's time to go nuclear. So give me Cal Raleigh this week. It's just written in the stars. Doubling down, Cal Raleigh's going to hit a lot of home runs or big impact plays. So, Coach Red, who's your hitter this week?
Before we go into that, you've got Lodolo, Martinez, and Brady Singer as the starters
Okay.
for Cincinnati. I thought
Give
about
me give me a
Cal.
righty home run. Give me a righty home run from Cal.
I thought about going with Cal, but I could very well see them giving that opening day off because you're gonna have a lefty on the bump.
Fair.
Castillo usually will catch Garver. You basically caught Cal the whole week. You had one day one day where he wasn't behind the dish, and that day
That
he
was
was
his.
DHing. So I could see them giving him a full day off early in the season and going with a little bit more righty heavy lineup, and you're already going to have Garver in there. So we'll see what happens. But give
Yeah,
me Julio Rodriguez.
I like
Uh,
it.
saw him power the triple. He had
A double down the line
double down the
in
line.
nine.
But one thing that I really saw out of him, especially on Saturday and Sunday, is he is taking Edgar's advice to heart. You're seeing him drive the ball the other way more consistently with power. He's going up the middle more often than you've seen. And he was squaring up some balls over the weekend. I think that he's starting to get that. Usually he does start slower. This is about when you start to see Julio start to do a little bit more and kind of roll him in to the warmer months. And like we said, the team goes as Julio, but it hasn't been the case as much this year, which has been good to see. You've seen that wealth spread around where Polanco's had his weeks, you've and had his spots. Uh,
It just still keeps
Randy
going.
Arozarena, you've got Cal Raleigh. They can all put a little bit more on their backs. So, do I think that the team necessarily is going to have to go the way Julio goes the rest of the way? No, but I do think they have a good week this week in hitters' ballparks, and especially Julio does some damage against the Blue Jays as well. I mean, outside of division, I would say that's their biggest rival, and I think that they're gonna have some success this week
I
because
agree.
the Reds and the Blue Jays are right there with the Mariners. The Reds are 8-8, the Blue Jays are 9-8.
And the Reds are struggling to score runs right now. That's kind of the big thing. The like a week plus of them being they were shut out in back to back games, I believe, last week. So
I know that it's tough for Mariners starters to go on the road, but when you look at it, you're gonna have a guy that's not normal into the lineup or into the starting rotation for Thursday's game, right?
yeah.
So you're looking at this, or might no, it's not Thursday, it might be Wednesday's game. I think it's Wednesday's game. So
Mhm.
you're going to be throwing that wrench, and it could be, a Logan Evans who's going to be amped up for his first time. Could go good, could go bad, but you're hoping that that's the day the Mariners bats are really alive
Yeah.
and want to consistently see them score 4+ runs a game. If they can score four, they're in a pretty good position.
Mhm.
The Mariners did an amazing job this entire week on limiting damage. The biggest damage day was the day that you expected with Luis F. Castillo on the bump and knowing that you were going to have to go heavy bullpen that day, which was the case again.
Mhm.
But in Logan's first start, give up 2 runs. You give up 2 runs in Luis's start. The bad start was that day. Then you look at Friday, give up 3 runs. Saturday, you give up 2 runs. One of them was garbage time runs where the 100% effort wasn't being displayed, right? And then you look at yesterday's game, 2 runs given up there.
Yep, I believe so.
So you had one game where you gave up more than 3 runs, and that's a game that you won.
Hmm.
So consistently score four or more. This team's going to win more often than not. And you need to continue to see the bullpen like they were this week. Pretty darn locked in for
Yep.
this to continue because you are going to have those heavier bullpen days with your unknown fifth starter.
And it's gonna be nice. You're gonna throw Troy Taylor out there again. And I mean his stuff plays very well. And it's gonna be fun to see him back on there. You're probably not gonna see him in back to backs for I would say a month or so. But just every other day you're gonna see Troy Taylor do some magic. So that's gonna be fun to see as well.
Yeah. So
Lighten the load a little bit.
hopefully they keep this train rolling and continue to not suck and really do what they did last year, but let's kind of keep that buffer, start
Yeah.
winning games now, be able to build a little bit of a lead in the division, and then just play hot potato, play keep away, don't give it
Yeah.
up.
I mean, just Dan made the right calls this week too.
Yeah,
Like,
and you can make the right calls as well if you go and follow us on social media.
yeah,
You can find me, your boy Coach Red, on X at the Real Coach Red, on Instagram at the Real underscore Coach Red, TikTok at the Real Coach Red. Also find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications, leave a comment or two. Kane, where you at?
Find me over on Twitter at Kane2406, TikTok, and Twitch, Kane0624. Also follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. False. Do it, freaking do it.
And as always, stay fresh.
Stay fresh, peeps.
Peace.